Hello and welcome to another edition of Quad Radio. I'm Rodney Tomlin, and today, my guest, the one and only Joel Janssen. We'll get with him in just a moment, but first we want to say thanks to a few folks that helped make this all possible, including our good friends at Impact Solutions, whom we say thanks to so much. And don't forget, over in Little Hocking, Ohio, give them a call. If you got any Elka suspension questions, needs, or anything like that, they are your official East Coast suspension headquarters here in the United States. Also, our good friends at SSI Decals. I haven't said a whole lot about those great folks, but I do want to say thanks to Ian Harris and all the people there at SSI, as they have done a great job with Quad Radio and our stickers, the official stickers of Quad Radio. And as far as quad racing and racing in general should be, I think it should be SSI in my opinion. But try them out for yourself. You'll find out how great they are and why I stand behind them like I do. I also want to say thanks to Ford Brothers Racing. They've been on board for quite a while. They really helped get Quad Radio revamped and back up and going, and just want to send out a shout and a salute to those folks and that great team that they got going on over there. I'd also like to say thanks to new sponsors like JSR Moto Designs. Dave and the folks over there do a great job on a variety of different things. If you need those new what are those webs for the feet there? Those things are amazing. They do custom embroidery. They do print, you name it. I mean, they can make your team look great. Just a great group of folks over there, JSR Moto Designs. Also, Walker Fowler Racing. I will welcome them on. They're a big part of GNCC Racing. He's three-time champion over there, and they've got great programs going on over there. I expect that you should, if you want to get in the off-road world, talk to those folks. They've got it all dialed in over there. Of course, Root River Racing, want to salute those guys. They've got a great program coming up this year where they introduce new riders to the national program. I'll be talking with Troy Tremelin about that a little later on and getting the full details on that. And of course, the guy that we're going to be talking to next, we're talking about Joel Janssen and, of course, Janssen Motorsports. I want to welcome them on board as well. And we have this opportunity to talk with Joel Janssen and find out a little bit more about Janssen Motorsports, its history, and what Janssen Motorsports is all about. And if you say ATV racing, that just scratches the surface, to be honest with you, because Janssen Motorsports is so much more than that. We'll say motorsport racing and family and everything in between, I think, that you can encompass under that bubble, I would think.
That's 100% true. I mean, we started this deal at Loretta Lynn's in 1988, and we've traveled 28, 29 years together as a family, and like you said, as friends. And it's just it's been great. We've been able to keep our children close to us and made some amazing friends. You as one of them, you know.
Yes.
When you talk about Larry Mills from DP Brakes, it's been with us since I was racing, you know, in '88. So it's great. It's a great group.
Yeah, the core runs deep. There's no doubt about it. And you mentioned 1988, Joel. That means you've been around for a long time. You've seen basically almost everything that has taken place. You've seen the death of ATV racing. You've seen the rebirth of ATV racing. You've seen it grow up. You've seen it stumble and fall. You've seen it take a knee, and you see it trying to get back up at the same time, man. I mean, it's been when you look at it like that, that's, I think, how you can explain the history of ATV motocross racing.
Yeah, you're 100% correct. We've seen the ups, the downs. We've seen the greatest of greats from 2005 to 2008, where, you know, things were just chaotic. You couldn't even keep up with what was going on, to now that we've developed into the motocross, dirt bikes, and ATVs. You know, it's just we're swamped. We're looking for mechanics. We don't need to get into that, but it's very difficult to find good mechanics right now, and we're looking to hire.
Oh, wow, that's great. That means things are going well for you guys. So I'm glad to hear that. And I have seen, actually, I think, if I'm not mistaken, at Loretta Lynn's this year, I've seen a few folks that were sporting Janssen Motorsports as supporters for their program this year. I thought that was pretty interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. We don't do financial sponsorship, but when it comes to building race engines, we give them discounts. I mean, we got national champions this year with Devin Kendrick and some other riders, and Tyler Miller, who you had on, I think, last week. I mean, just we try to help out as best we can because there's such a group of people that help us out at the racetrack. The list is, well, you just heard Cody on the podium. The list is enormous.
Yeah,
and it's other race families that are paying to help us be at the racetrack.
Yeah, it goes around. That's for sure. There's no doubt about that.
It sure does.
Well, Joel, talking a little bit, like you said, you've been around since 1988. I do want to touch on that, and then we'll talk a little bit about the business and where we're going with that and everything. But wow, how much different is it now as compared to 1988? I mean, we're looking, what is it, 30 years later now?
Yeah. I mean, I remember the days of Rodney Shepard. Was it Rodney Shepard? I'm sorry.
Rodney Gentry.
Rodney Gentry, and then there was a Shepard that raced, and going down to Loretta's, and we actually raced TT at that time. So they had a TT race and a motocross race the same weekend. So I was a TT racer back then, and so we were down there racing TT. Then I let the jumping guys take over the next day. But then it's dramatically changed. I mean, from Doug Gus Cube Van being like, holy cow, look at Doug Gus Cube Van, to what comes into the pits these days is just amazing. And I thought we were big shots because we had an enclosed snowmobile trailer.
Funny how things change, huh?
Yeah, it sure is.
Well, you like you say, you've been through a lot, and that's great, man. And it's helped you to know this industry. It's helped you to know the sport of ATV racing on so many different levels, from a racer's standpoint, a mechanic standpoint, a builder standpoint, and even a race dad standpoint. I mean, you've got every aspect of it covered as far as knowing what's going on in the sport of ATV.
Yeah, I do. And it's interesting because people are calling me during the week asking me from things to like, hey, can you call my son up because he's misbehaving? And I'm like, sure, I can do that, to, hey, that my engine's making this noise. What about that? Mark Baldwin is an ally of mine where we both build race engines, but I call Mark up if I got a question, or, it's a great group of people that we are associated with. And it's amazing. The people, my best friends in the world, came through racing. Yeah. It's not the guys that stood up in my wedding. It's not the guys that come from this area. It's the people that I've met through racing.
Oddly enough, I have to agree with you. My tenure in the business, it was funny. I was sitting here on Saturday night, and I had absolutely nowhere to go to watch the Ohio State game. Well, I have one old buddy that usually goes to bed early, but I talked him into staying up a little bit later. He's an old Vietnam vet, so he was like, "It's Saturday night. I'll stay up with you, Rodney." So he sat up and watched the Buckeyes game. But yeah, I know what you mean. I mean, our lifestyles become the road. Everything is about that, and with that, we learn a lot. We learn a lot about personalities. You learn a lot about equipment, learn a lot about the change, the difference in people and riding styles, the difference in terrains that people are riding in, the different kinds of setups that people are going to need. So you've taken all that over the course of the last 30 years, Joel, and you've built a pretty good business out of it. Let's talk a little bit about Janssen Motorsports. Tell me about it in particular.
We do everything from the local farmer down the roads, ATV, or a guy's street bike, to some of the top national riders in the country's race engines. I think we did 135 ATV engines before last season, in the off season, and I'm sure the number is going to be equivalent to that for this year.
Wow.
So yeah, we do a ton of them. We got an in-house dyno, we got an in-house machine shop. So the guys are back there pounding away right now, actually, trying to get stuff ready. And wow. The changes is just amazing. The development that we can get out of product, and the horsepower that we just seem to continue to get bigger and bigger. And like you said, you can't give a C-class guy or a B-class guy, not that they're not good riders, but you don't want to give them a Pro-Am motor, which a Pro-Am motor or an A motor, you can build those stronger than you can build a pro motor, because the pro guys got to keep that thing together for 25 minutes. So there's a fine line in what you give each rider, you know. So yeah, it's interesting.
It is very, it's, I think it's a deeper science than what people realize. I mean, it really has become that. And I don't know if that's, I mean, it's a good thing for, obviously, for the sport and making the speed and everything. But, you know, at the same time, man, I mean, it just, it can be tough sometimes if you're trying to run stock equipment against that kind of stuff. But the beauty of it is that, like you said, there's different levels. You don't have to build a professional motor, a $30,000 motor. You can put a little less in it and still have a highly competitive engine.
Absolutely. You can build a $5,000 engine, and if you're good on it and keep the oil changed, keep the air filter clean, you put a piston in it at mid-season, and the thing will run. I mean, so yeah, it's very interesting. That and the suspension work. We do a lot of Elka suspension work here, and I work with Jay at Impact Solutions, obviously one of your sponsors, and both of our friends, Jay and Casey down there, and just the suspension work that we do. We literally are almost to a point where I have to get one guy doing shocks full time, because we're having that much suspension work coming in, which is good, because I know suspension. I'm good at suspension, so I can pay myself a little bit to do that.
that always works out well whenever you can do something like that. Well, I mean, think about this. I mean, big picture, what are people doing right now? I mean, because you look at the race, the schedule isn't even out to next year. And from what I understand, it's going to be an 8-round championship next year. If I'm not mistaken, there might be some changes to that, but it's going to be at least 8 rounds. And I can say that I do know that, and I have heard from the folks that I work for on a contract basis, just let people know that we won't be going back to Daytona this year. As of the last word that I heard, Daytona's out of it. And I know for sure I don't think High Point is going to be part of the program. So without those two, and unless a race or two comes in to step in. But I've talked to a lot of people, Joe, and maybe even you included, that thinks that maybe an 8-round series at this particular point might be a better thing for the championship series.
I think it is definitely, just because it's very difficult for people to afford to go 10 rounds, and depending on how many throwouts they're going to use. And then I think Tim Cotter basically told us in the drivers' meeting at Daytona that he didn't think we'd be back, and I didn't think we would either. But we had that experience. Anybody that was able to experience Daytona, it was awesome. You know, that first year we went to Daytona and stood in Victory Lane, oh my gosh. So we got that experience. That's another experience that we got to do as a family. Gives me goosebumps thinking about, you know, being able to go down there and sitting in where the number of drivers that sat in that room that Tim gave us our meeting in, the people that have sat in that room over the years, the history that was on the walls and everything, just amazing.
Yeah, it was. You're right. I mean, wow, if those walls could talk, kind of thing.
Oh my gosh, yes. It'd be like going to a NASCAR museum, the highest end.
Yeah. You know,
and Indy cars and everything else that they race at Daytona.
Yeah.
I think the Rolex 24-hour there. I mean, they do everything there. Super bikes, you know, to motocross, bike motocross. I mean, yeah, I got a lot of memories of that place.
Yeah, there is, and I love standing out on that speedway. Maybe we'll get to do it again someday. I mean, who knows? But we got that opportunity, and with that, like we said, you know, regardless of what the championship series is, when it starts, I would assume it'll be around mid to late March, if I was a guessing man right now. In the grand scheme of things, when the series ended, we were somewhere in the neighborhood of 6 months away before the next gate drop of the National Motocross Championship season. What are people doing in the meantime? Are we seeing a lot of people race local events? Are there some indoor stuff that are people wanting to do? A lot of people doing woods. What are you seeing from your perspective right now?
I got a lot of people that are still riding, either practicing, which not to take anything away from the racing, but a lot of people I recommend, just get out there and ride. If you go to a race, you get 5 laps in, you sit in the trailer and you get 5 more laps and you're done for the day. I would rather see them go to a track and put in, some 10-minute motos and do 5-10-minute motos and get 50 minutes worth of riding over a day. But not to take anything away from the tracks that are still riding, because that's becoming few and far between. Cody's doing a riding school in Ohio, I think October 13th.
Where at?
At Pachetta MX, which is, I've never been there. The track owner is an ATV quad guy, and it's right on the border of Indiana and the Ohio border there.
Awesome.
Yeah, so he's going to do one over there. We just found the information out yesterday.
So we can't really give a lot of details. But if you follow the Janssen Motorsports Facebook page, you'll have information.
Cody Janssen. It'll be on there because we're going to get 20 riders and then we're going to cut it. And I think they said they already had 10 or 11 before we even announced the school, just with the group of people there at the track. But the track owner is looking to have more riders come, and he's ATV friendly. He's an ATV rider. And I'm thinking, Ohio, ATVs, that's the biggest number. So I said to the guy, I said, in a year or two, you may be having 50 quads there on a practice day.
Right.
Because from what I've been told, he maintains his track immaculate. So
that's
good
awesome
stuff. Yeah.
That's great to hear. I can't wait to find out more about it. We'll be watching more for that. Share it on Quad Radio too, whenever you get the information as well. Speaking of Cody, last year Cody did something that I'm sure kind of maybe shocked and surprised a few people. He was an AMA Pro ATV racer. Last year that he raced, if memory serves me correct, he was nursing some major wounds and gotten hurt a few times. And every time it seemed like he'd get up to speed, he'd get knocked back down off his horse. And he never was back up to 100%, unfortunately. So what he elected to do last year, I thought was pretty cool, to go ride the 25 plus class, which put a lot of interest in watching that and a lot of interest in riding. It brought Nick Moser back out, and it really beefed up the competition out there. And I think made for some great motos, man.
It really did. Yeah. It was interesting because I talked to Harv Whipple and, to see if Cody was able to ride that class. And they said yes. So we tried the 25 plus class. Again, some of the outstanding things that we don't know yet is once we go to the riders meeting, the pro meeting, if we get some different sponsors that we potentially have out there, he may be back in the pro class this season. So he may be back in the pro class. He may be in 25 plus. He may be running a couple A classes. I don't know. I'm hoping we get to run pro again. But I'll tell you, he was relaxed last year. He had so much fun. He was able to spend a lot more time with his riders that go to his riding schools and go to the line with them and spend some time. And the parents like that. And that's a big fund of our racing is his schools. If it wasn't for his schools, we wouldn't be racing.
Well, there you go. You got to take care of, you got to butter the bread, so to speak, I guess you could say, to say you got something to eat there. But I think it's been a great idea. I think it's worked out good. It was also a great opportunity to let his body heal a little bit. I mean, he didn't have to train nearly as much. Obviously he trained, but I'm sure it wasn't at the level as if he was racing 220-minute motos. And so therefore the intensity of training, it probably helped his body heal a little bit more. It gave him time to relax a little bit. The riding wasn't nearly as intense, so that gave it a chance. And I don't think he had any big crashes last year. So I think 2018 was a double thumbs up for Cody.
It was a double thumbs up. He's on the program with Dom, and he said I want to train as if I'm a pro. So he still goes out and does 20 to 25-minute motos. He still works every single day at the gym doing the same program that he did as a pro. The only benefit is when he goes out and races, he races for 5 laps, and it's easy on the equipment and it's easy on his body.
Yeah.
When you look at a pro going out for time qualifying for 15 minutes, coming back in for say 45 minutes, go back out for 15 more, and now you got 30 minutes of riding in, and now you haven't started your 2 25-minute motos that you're going to do.
Right.
You know, that's a lot of work on, and it's a lot of work for an engine guy or a chassis guy like myself, and it's a lot of work on Cody. So yeah, it turned out great.
Now, we got about 5 minutes left here.
Yep.
And,
Sounds good.
riders, you guys got a boatload of riders too. I mean, like you said, you support a lot of different folks through discounts and things like that. But Janssen Motorsports also has a team of riders that it helps support at a little higher level. Yes.
Yeah. It just ended up being very close friends, the Kendrick family and the Reynolds family. The Kendricks are from Virginia. The Reynolds are from Indiana. We're from Wisconsin. And Cody ended up being, best friends with Devin Kendrick. And you've obviously talked to him. And then great friends with the Reynolds family and Hunter Reynolds, who's going to be an up-and-comer. He's going to be someone to watch this year. And so the three of us always pit together, always, we try to stay together as a family, as a group. Everybody's got their own deal, but there's no alcohol, there's nothing around us. It's just, it's cool. It's a religious kind of family. We're not Bible thumpers by no means, but
you got
you're not going to see me knocking on your door handing you a pamphlet. I can tell you that.
You just try to live by setting a good example, right? Yes,
exactly. And it's been very good. It's been really, really good. Getting together with the family. And then, I am amazed when I hear you're on the podium and you're announcing and people are saying Janssen Motorsports, or I'll see a four-wheeler drive by and it's got a Janssen sticker on it, and I'll be like, Cody, who's that? And he's like, oh, that's that guy you helped build that engine for. Oh, okay, great. So yeah, I think we're right there when it comes to name recognition at the track. If it's not us, it's Mark Baldwin, or Baldwin Motorsports. But to be able to say you're in the same shoes or close to the same shoes as Mark Baldwin, pretty darn cool.
That's certainly it's nice to be held in those ranks. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Those boys are headed over to race in Denmark right now. I'm going to try to get some words. We'll be talking with Kevin Bailey. I talked with Thomas Brown and a few guys. Hopefully, I'll be talking with Chad and Jeffrey Rastrelli and Chad Weenan also in the coming week as well. So I'm excited to see what's going to be happening over there for those guys. And
me too.
Yeah. So any other team riders that you got, or is those the two families that you're going with this year?
The names are I should have wrote them down. Because there's so many people that we help out, and in turn a lot of them will help Cody.
Yeah.
They're either going to Cody's riding school, or they're giving them $200, $300, $400, and we give them some discounts on parts. So it's a win-win, like you said before. It's a win-win situation. It's worked out great.
It does. It seems like it really does. And Cody is a great guy, man. I mean, a lot of the people that I've talked to that he schooled, they really they like Cody's teachings, and I think he does a great job. So I think that's awesome. And I think what you guys got going on over there is awesome. How do we get a hold of you? If we want Janssen Motorsports questions, if we want to send our stuff to you, how do we go about all that?
You just call Janssen Motorsports at 920-766-3411. Just give us a holler, and one of us will get back to you.
All righty. And you
can always message me on Messenger. I'm on there all the time answering questions.
On Facebook, I guess. And then you guys got a website and all kinds of different things.
Yeah, we got the website, which needs to be updated. that's one of those, seems like an ongoing thing.
I know
that.
I know exactly what you're talking about there. So that's great. And same thing for Cody's thing. So Joel, we're going to have to get going, dude. I do want to take this time to say thanks to you, man, again, and we will catch up with you real soon. And on behalf of Joel Janssen, I'm Rodney Tomlin. Tune in. We got a lot of great quad radio coming up, and thanks to those guys right there for being a big part of it. This is Quad Radio.